I did do this video because I was meant to do it ages ago, and I filmed it and then I decided to delete the footage, so I've been trying to find time to film it again, but I have found time, so here it is. This is basically the lowdown of what it's like working in attractions in Walt Disney World. Last summer I spent my cultural exchange programme working in attractions on the Haunted Mansion, which I'll get to a little bit later. But first, the general what is attractions, and where can you work. So basically attractions is operating a ride or a show, and also you could be doing parade audience control, otherwise known as PAC, and you could be doing, so that also includes the fireworks as well as parades. You could be front of house, so on any of the 4 parks or the water parks, basically be the person who like scans magic bands, puts the finger on the little finger pad, touchpad thing, and welcoming people into the park. I think you could also be on like where you get the strollers from and where you can get wheelchairs from. Not 100% sure on that one. You can also be a ride operator, so that's different to a lifeguard. You could also work at ESPN, the wide world of sports. It's about sports, which is owned by Disney, and that you do ticket sales. You could do parking. Parking in the parks we don't usually get CPs, but you can get parking at ESPN. So yeah, you can work in any of the parks basically, plus ESPN. So when you get your email saying that you are working for Walt Disney World, congratulating you, saying yay, well done, you will get saying attractions, and it won't say anything else, it will just say attractions. And then I think it's like about a month before you arrive, like it's before your arrival date, you will get another email saying your location. So this for me just said MK, Magic Kingdom, Ad Lib Attractions, which is Adventureland / Liberty Square. So at this point you still don't 100% know where you're working, you just know you could be in those areas. So for me, I could be on anything from the Haunted Mansion to Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise, and then what else was there? Aladdin's Magic Carpet, Tiki Room and Treetops. For a British CP, you're not going to get the Jungle Cruise or the Pirates of the Caribbean because they take so much training, and I don't even think even if you were there for longer, you wouldn't get them either, even if you weren't on the summer programme. So yeah, so you're probably not going to get those 2 attractions. So it was either linked, you were the Haunted Mansion or you were all 3 of Aladdin's Magic Carpets, Tiki Room and Treetops. So you don't know. And that's the same with anyone, so you could say MK, Fantasyland, or DAK, which is Disney's Animal Kingdom, Asia, and you're like, I could be on any ride in Asia, so you don't know. So yeah, so then when you're there, you have all your housing talks and everything, then you will have traditions, which everyone goes to no matter what role they get, and then the day after that, I think I had a day off after that, but the next thing you have after traditions will be your welcome to operations. So this is all about safety on attractions in general, so not specific to you, but to everyone that has got given attractions. So everyone has this talk at Disney University, having to be in the Disney look, and then after that you then, on a different day, you go to your location. Mine lasted, well, it was over 2 days, but the first day lasted from 9 till 4, or 7 till 4, so a long day, and for the majority of that, I got a tour around Magic Kingdom, so everyone will get a tour of their location, whether you go in Typhoon Lagoon, ESPN, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, wherever you are, you will get a tour of the whole area, so the whole park, so even not just the land you're in, all the other bits as well, which was so cool because like you just get to know the details that you wouldn't necessarily know, and people pay money for the tour you basically did. You then get told your attraction, so they pull you over to like, oh, there's an adventure instructor Liberty Square, and like you go over. And I was with someone who was like, oh, so you're a skipper, and I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool. And then I was just there waiting, and they're like, welcome to our newest maid. I was like, yay! So then that's when I knew I was on the Haunted Mansion. Then you go get your costumes, you get told what shoes to buy, but because if you're in attractions you do need to buy your own shoes. I was fortunate that one of my friends already worked there and they had some spare shoes, so, and we were the same size, so that was amazing, so I just borrowed hers. But yeah, you will need to buy shoes. If you're in food and beverage, you do not need to buy shoes. But after that, you have a more in-depth tour of your area. So I had a full-on tour of Adventureland and a full-on tour of Liberty Square. I got to go on the skipper ride because that's what the other person was, because it was just me and one other guy. And then I got to ride the Haunted Mansion. Got a little backstage tour of both of those, not major, but like the coordinator was very knowledgeable, and he told us a lot of things about both rides that I never knew. So that was very good. He also took us on a tour of the Utilidors, which is the thing underneath the Magic Kingdom, which cast members get to go to different lands. Not everyone actually had this bit of the tour. Like the other friends that I ended up working with, I think it was just our coordinator just loved talking about all things Disney. So even like there was just things on the wall, and he was saying just like, that's from this, that's from that, that's the first ever whatever. So yeah, he gave us really interesting insight to some things, which obviously I'm not telling you everything because some people don't want to know to ruin the magic. Like there's some things like my friends just like, no, I don't want to know how the ride works, because they didn't want it ruined for them. So I was like, fair enough. I love that sort of things because I love appreciating or what goes into making it, because there's some things you wouldn't even think like, how is that possible? But yeah, so that was that. Then after that you then go to work in costume, and you have, well for me I had 4 days of training. A morning, an evening, and then a mid. Obviously everyone's different, but I trained to open the ride, close the ride, and then just generally work it. There was a huge book that you have to learn, and you have to learn like inside and out, because you get assessed at the end on the 5th day, and you have to do each position. So you get trained in the position, go to the book, learn about the position, get trained in the position. So practical and then theory sort of thing. Even though it's not like theory, but you know what I mean. Like you do it, you read it. So yeah, so that was good. Very intense. The assessment, you're not going to fail. Like I think I got a question wrong, and they was just like, oh no, this is the answer. Oh, okay, but you passed. I think if you got them all wrong, then they probably wouldn't pass you, but they know like that you can do it. So just quickly, the pros of working in attractions, and a lot of this is specific to me, so not everyone will have the same pros, because obviously I worked in the Haunted Mansion, which I absolutely loved. Not everyone enjoyed their attraction, because I know, for example, Aladdin's Magic Carpet, they didn't hate it, but it's hot. You're running around in a place, they called it like the fire of death or something, because it's literally you're out in the open all day. So whereas there was a lot of pros for me. So I'm going to start off with the amazing guest interactions. Like I absolutely love talking to guests, and especially because I was able to be in a character. If you've never rode the Haunted Mansion before, like everyone is either a maid or a butler, and they're not dead, but they are serving the dead, so they're not all jolly, and they are miserable. They do have some things that you have to learn to say. And then you also get to play with it a bit, like, and it was just great when people laughed at your jokes. You do a lot to make the guests happy. Like you do everything that you can to make sure that their day is magical, as soppy as that sounds. But it is also so amazing when a guest appreciates your work and what you do. I had one guest compliment, but like on paper, because I went out of my way to basically get her a fast pass, which seemed common sense to me, but she acknowledged that and thought it was good. But the main one, it was to my face, not written down, so no proof of this at all. It's just take my word for it. But like I was doing my normal spiel, like talking in my scary-ish voice, telling people to basically move into the next chamber, and someone came over to me and they was like, "We have been on this ride 6 times and you're the best maid that we have ever seen." And I was like, that really, because I just do it because I enjoy it. Like, I put on the character for me. Like, I don't really like think, oh, well, it's going to make their holiday. Like, I do it for me because it makes the day more fun. It makes it go a little bit quicker. Whereas if I was just there like bored and just doing it boring, like I've seen some people do it, I'm not going to enjoy that. Whereas I absolutely loved working there. Like, I'd always put in for an extension to last, to stay longer. I just never wanted to go home. But yeah, so the guest interactions were amazing. There was some negative ones which I'll go on to in the cons, but for the most part, guest interactions were amazing, and especially being British, like, they love the British. So if you're watching this and you're British, they're gonna love you. And especially, like, because a lot of the people that I worked with tried to put on a British accent because they're working in a mansion, whereas obviously I don't need to. And they were like, I've heard someone say like, "Oh, I wonder how long it takes to learn the British accent," and I just turned around like really creepily and was like, "Oh, it took me 21 years," and they just was like, "Oh, we have an authentic British," and like they hear you and they're like, "Oh, that's a really good British accent," and I'm like, "No, I'm British," and they're just like, then they laugh and they have fun with it. So I love the positions and the roles that I got to do, because you could just have fun with it. There was obviously some positions that I didn't like, the ones, and they were basically the ones you did nothing for, like you just stood there, and they were boring, so that's the reason I didn't like them. The people I worked with, that was a major pro. Like, there was so many great cast members there, which you get in every role. Like, I had it in my last quick service role, but these ones were really nice and just very genuine. Also the cafeteria where I worked, it's the pro of working in Magic Kingdom, and also I think there is it in Hollywood Studios, but there's a Subway and it was $3 for a Subway, which I was just like, yes, so I'd get one before my shift and have it on my break, which I was just loving. The cafeteria is so much better than what I was used to in my old role. So yeah, so the cafeteria it's just great. You got pizzas, basically what they did for the park but cheaper, and they basically had a Mickey premium bar but just not shaped as a Mickey, and it was $1.50. I was like, yes, because it tasted the same, and obviously it's great, better in Mickey form, but when you're just wanting something like a bit of sugar just before work, like, it was perfect. Also, because there was a fridge in the break room, that was good because like I could just put my Subway in there, or you did have time to go to the break room, but a lot of the time I just wanted to sit. I didn't want to have to walk on my break because I've spent all day walking. But yeah, another pro with the Haunted Mansion is I got to do the parade. So I did do parade audience control pack, as some people might know it as, for the Festival of Fantasy, which is amazing. Like, so I got to watch that most days. You put on like all the ropes and stuff before. It is stressful because there's emergency exits that you have to make sure you keep clear at all times for the character's safety. For example, when if you've noticed on Facebook and stuff like that, that Maleficent went on fire a few weeks ago, Like that is the reason why we keep those emergency exits clear, to escort all the other people that are around that work there out of the way, so that they are safe as well. So yeah, so if anyone's telling you to move, do it, because it's for the character's safety. But yeah, so you got to watch that. It was fun. You were in the heat, but you got great interactions with guests, because you didn't have to be miserable at this point either, which they also were quite shocked at. Most people, they were like, why is there someone from the Haunted Mansion here? But yeah, so it was really fun, because you just got to interact, give stickers out. We played bingo, like who could give out the most stickers, who could get the most high fives, stuff like that. So that was really good. And also, oh my gosh, this was the highlight of my experience. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Now this is a must to work at Magic Kingdom, because most areas, so I'll talk about in general for Magic Kingdom and Not So Scary Halloween Party, they'll be like a trick or treater. So if you've never been to a Not So Scary Party before, you basically get lots of sweets. So you'll stand there and just hand out sweets at the different stations. See loads of people's costumes, and apparently it was really fun doing that. But for me, I was originally going to book one Halloween party off so I could go as a guest. And I did that. As soon as I got access onto the hub, I booked it off. But as soon as I started working there, people told me that you could, when it is the Not So Scary Halloween Party, the Haunted Mansion people get make-upped, get cobwebbed, look even scarier than usual. So I was like, I need to work this shift. So I straight away cancelled that request to have the day off, and I worked it as a scary Haunted Mansion maid, and I will try and insert a picture right here of what I look like. So that was amazing. Being all scary, like even scarier than usual, and I was so thankful to that. First start that Halloween started in August, so I got 2 Halloween shifts, and I managed to switch my last ever shift working at Walt Disney World to a Mickey's Not So Scary. So that was my last shift. But also, so you could work in the mansion or you could do pack. So luckily I was pack trained. So that meant, so I traded so I could have one in the mansion and one pack. So I was outside all night. I wasn't scary. I was in a nice little the pack uniform, well, the pack costume, and I'll insert a picture here. This one, you was all joyous. You're still in your area, so you're still in Adventureland Stroke Square. You would to start with, you was just helping out guests with any questions that they had. Again, we had a bingo card, like having to spot certain characters, like giving high fives, we didn't give sweets out. I didn't give anything out, no. But just interacting with guests to begin with. Then the clock struck when the people who were not doing the Halloween party, who had not paid to be in the Halloween party, needed to be escorted out. So we had little ghosts, which basically meant that that area is clear of, and only people who are paid. So you literally just walk in force out. All you coordinators do the job. I just stand there to show that that area is clear and watch for people coming past me without a wristband, to make sure all of it's clear. So if you think you can go without paying, like they do check everything, they'll check the shop. So you wait for a bit while someone will go in and check the shops, make sure no one's like hiding in there, check toilets and stuff like that to make sure all that area is clear for you to proceed on. And then parade. So we set up for the parade, and oh my goodness, if you've never seen the Halloween parade, you need to see the Halloween parade. So I got paid to see it twice, which I was buzzing about. I wasn't really doing my job, but I was like, it's my last shift, it's fine. And I was just watching the parade from a really good spot. And then I also got, when you set up for the next parade, the fireworks are on, and because it was my last shift, people did just let me watch the fireworks, so I didn't really do any setting up. So yeah, I got the parade and the fireworks. The only thing I did miss out on is obviously meeting the special characters and the show, the Hocus Pocus show. But apart from that, like, I basically did the Halloween party and got paid for it, and it was in a way that I'd never be able to do it again. So yeah, if you're ever in Magic Kingdom for the Halloween party, get a cut treat shift, and if you're pack trained, do pack. Like, it's amazing. However, that obviously in all jobs, I'm just plastic. In all jobs, there's some cons of the job. There's not a lot of jobs, and some of them are only like, I wish it was different, but it didn't ruin my experience at all. The main one was that it wasn't easy to pick up in trade shifts. So I sometimes wanted to trade, say if I was on an early and I wanted the morning off, trade to work at night, it was difficult to trade, and it's not easy to pick up. I wanted to pick up basically every day. I would love to work there every day, and that's what was hard, to work more. I also tried to work at all 4 parks, because on my last programme, and the programme before this, I did quick service, if you've seen that video, and I managed to pick up a shift in Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So I was trying to pick up a pack shift for the nighttime show at Animal Kingdom, but I just could never find one, or it was always clashing with the time I was working, so I could never manage to pick up a shift. So I was proper gutted, but never mind. Still 3 out of 4 parks ain't that bad. And I did manage to work. I worked on Main Street, and I also worked in Tomorrowland for the fireworks. So yeah, I was in a Tomorrowland costume at one point, and my friends saw me like in the cafeteria, and they were like, "Why are you a trader?" And I was like, "I'm sorry. I just wanted to, first I wanted to pick up a shift for more money, and 2, I wanted to just try on a different costume." But yeah, there were also mean guests. Like in any role working at Disney, you get arsey guests. You get people who are like, "I've paid all this money, like, why don't we get this?" And they basically expect to have everything handed to them. And they take it out on the cast members. It's just how they do it. I had a few mean guests, like I was shouted at in Spanish once, and also there was one situation, and someone just, like, one of the ladies came over to me. So you've got the outside bit just before you enter the mansion, and once you enter the mansion, it's about 12 minutes before you get off the mansion, because you've got a pre-show room, then you've got another little queue, or sometimes a long queue depending on if the ride breaks down, and then you've got the ride, and the ride itself is about 7 minutes. So yeah, so it's a long time from when you get into that door. So I guess just came over to me just before they got into that door and was like, "Where's your restroom?" And I was like, "Oh, the closest restroom, if you just leave the line, is just by Rapunzel's Tower." And they were like, "No, where do you have to go to the toilet?" Like, well, where do you go to, where's your restroom? Is the thing what they said. And I was like, "Unfortunately, I cannot take you to that restroom. That is for cast members only. The closest one for you is just where I said it was." And she was kind of like hurt the fact that I wouldn't let her use the cast member toilet, but because it was for a little child. I was like, no matter how, like, it's not like there's no other toilet nearby. And I was like, well, if you go to the person with the fast pass, I'll let them know that you're coming back through the line, and like you can come straight back through. Like, that is no problem at all. For you to leave this line to go to the restroom. And she was having none of that. She was shouting at me, and she just asked a kid, "Can you hold it?" And he just was like, "Yeah." And so you don't trust a kid. If they need the toilet, they need the toilet. And yeah, he needed the toilet, and he ended up going on the ride. So listen to the cast member. If they offer that you can come back on the ride, like back in the queue, do it. Because I did set much to tell you to her, like, it's about 12 minutes. And yes, the ride had to be closed down. No, not closed down, but it had everyone had to slowly leave the line, and we were closed for a little bit while it got cleaned because it wasn't a nice toilet accident. So yeah, that was one of the cons. It smelled. Also, one of the cons was that you were outside in the heat for a long time. Sometimes for over an hour, once 2 hours, which in Florida heat is a long time. Another one of the cons for me especially, and anyone who worked in Adventureland / Liberty Square, if you were on the first arrival date, that's great, you got straight trained on the mansion, but unfortunately for some reason Adventureland / Liberty Square is the only area in Magic Kingdom that do not train at all the week of the 4th of July. So the 4th, I think, was a Tuesday. So obviously, I understand you're not going to train on the busiest days of the year, but they could have trained around those days, but they needed 5 consecutive days in a row. So everyone who was in Adventureland / Liberty Square did stroller parking, which was short shifts, so not as much money for a start, and you were just basically parking strollers, moving them into the designated areas, getting shouted at because you moved their stroller, and it's like, sorry, you can't leave it there, so it has to be over here, it has to be in the designated area. And it was fun because you got to interact with people, and that's obviously what I liked doing. I like talking to people, and like little kids that have just been on a ride and they're all excited, or they're about to go on a ride, and because I didn't just work out the one outside the Haunted Mansion, I worked in all of the different ones in Adventureland and Liberty Square. And then, so you did that for 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours. Then, or 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. Then I did the parade audience control for the fireworks. So Happily Ever After. So there was a bonus, I suppose, that I got to watch Happily Ever After pretty much every night. As you make all the guests go a certain way, and yeah, so so that you did that. Got to watch fireworks, but it was just frustrating that I got 2 weeks less than most people in their location. So that was a bit of the downside, and the costume wasn't great. I didn't even have a photo taken in that, it was that awful. So yeah, so I was a bit gutted that I never did. That it took that long to get there. Stroller parking wasn't the best, but doing pack was, so I suppose it was alright. I had a 12-hour shift on the 4th of July as well, which was hard, especially with this next one, the bus. It's great, Disney puts on a bus from housing to every location. However, especially on the 3rd and 4th of July, boy was that thing rammed. At least 2 buses went past us before we got on one, and there were still people waiting. It was literally like everyone just swooshed into this tiny little gap to get on the bus, and to get a seat on the bus, and to actually physically get on the bus so you can go home. And one of the painful things, especially for Magic Kingdom, is it stops off at the Contemporary or the Polynesian or Grand Floridian first. So if you've been playing in the parks that day, you'll get picked up from there. You don't get picked up, well, people who have worked get picked up. So they'll get a seat first. And we, who have been working, come on, no seats on the bus. Now, sometimes there's a few seats, and that's what you rush on for, is for a seat. But apart from that, you stand in, like, the whole way home, which is about an hour. So you've just worked, sometimes a 12-hour shift, and you can't even sit down. Like, sometimes, to be fair, I sat on the floor, but it's not comfy. And it's the fact that people have chosen to play in the parks and sit down. So when I realised that how much of a pain that is, whenever I played in the park and there was never a seat for anybody else, I would always offer my seat up for someone else if I've been playing in the parks, for just the fact that they have been working and I chose to go out. It's not so bad if you finish work just before the fireworks or literally just after the fireworks, because people are still trying to leave the park, so they're not on the bus yet. But if you get the ones just after the fireworks finish, you're done for. You're not getting on that seat. But if you're on till absolute close, then you actually get a seat on the bus. But that was the main annoying thing, was that bus. Anyway, moving on. Typical day working in the Haunted Mansion specifically, but in most attractions. So you get your you arrive, you sign in, go put your bags away, whatever. Then you start work. So you get a rotation. So for me, there was 2 different rotations, and that would go round at the same time with different positions on them. Sometimes you could be stuck on the same positions all day, or the same like 3. That's happened to me before. Literally just keep going and keep going, because then you'd go to your position, you'd rotate, and then someone would then come release you for your break. And roughly you'd get about a 15 minute, then a 30, and then sometimes a 15 minute, depending on how long your shift is. But you'd always get a 30. Pretty sure you always got a 30. No, if you did a 6 hour, yeah, you still got 30, which was obviously much better than when I did quick service, because all those breaks were at the same time. So if I deserved a 45 minute, it was all at the same time, whereas it was nice that it was split up. Then if you started in the morning you also did rope drop, like if you was on an opening. So you literally got to see the castle in all its glory in the morning, which is beautiful. And then you literally guide the guests into the park. They have to stay behind you, because they run off to, it's mainly not as bad where I am, because they don't run to come to the Haunted Mansion. They run to get on Big Thunder Mountain, and they run to get on Mine Train. But for us, they didn't really run to get on the Haunted Mansion. And then yeah, so they let people in, and then you then could also then get, you either started your shift with pack, or like you could have it in the middle of your day or at the end of your day, and then you'd go back to mansion and again just keep rotating. Yeah, that is pretty much attractions in a nutshell. I have talked a lot, but I thought I'd give you a bit of variation. What I thought, obviously everyone is different. Some people may think my cons were a bonus, not necessarily the bus, but obviously if you're not at the Magic Kingdom, you might not have all these issues. So you're not going to get stroller parking, you're not going to have a deadly bus, you're still going to have people who have been playing in the parks who take your seat, but it's not as bad as the Magic Kingdom, because there's just so many people, especially the 3rd and the 4th of July. But most places will have amazing guest interactions, because there are lovely people, but you'll also get terrible interactions no matter where you work. But yes, that is that. If you have any questions, please comment them below, even if it's just general, or even specifically the Haunted Mansion. Like if you know you've got ad-lib is on your email that you've received recently, then let me know. And if you are going to work in the Haunted Mansion, let me know. I'll give you all the tips and all the amazing, I just love talking about it, so let me know and I will tell you all I know. Or if you have worked in the Haunted Mansion before, also let me know, because that would be cool. But if you are about to work there, I will be extremely jealous, because I want to go back right now. If I could, I would go back right now. But yeah, so that is this end of this video. So I do have a few more general videos in store about general but CUP life, accommodation, those sorts of things, and then general Walt Disney World food tips, where I like to eat, not what I've bought, because I've already done one of them. Just general videos that I've got planned that I do know, I just can't remember them. But yeah, So thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye.